Once upon a time, in the vast and ancient land of China, there lived 3 monks who were unlike any others. Their names were never known, not because people didn't care to remember them, but simply because they never revealed them to anyone. For this reason, they came to be known throughout the land as the 3 Laughing Monks. They wandered from village to village, town to town, not with words or teachings, not with books or scriptures, but with something far simpler and far more powerful: laughter. Wherever they went, they brought joy. The moment they stepped into a place, they would walk directly to the center of the village square or the busiest street in the town and begin to laugh. There was no introduction, no explanation, just laughter. Pure, uncontainable, and contagious. Laughter. At first, people were curious. Some were confused, others slightly suspicious. But laughter, as it often does, began to spread. The way a single match can light an entire forest, the joy they carried began to catch on. One by one, people began to smile, then chuckle, and eventually whole crowds would burst into fits of laughter without even knowing why. Farmers, merchants, children, elders, all would drop what they were doing, drawn by the infectious energy of these mysterious men. It wasn't long before the laughter filled the entire town. A strange sort of unity was born in those moments. People forgot their troubles, their disputes, their ambitions. All that remained was joy, raw, human, and honest. And just when it seemed the laughter had peaked, the monks would quietly gather their robes and move on to the next village, leaving behind echoes of happiness and lighter hearts. They never preached, they never lectured, they never asked for food or shelter, though people offered both freely. Their presence alone was a blessing. The laughter they spread, a gift. They were considered holy men, not because they belonged to a temple or followed a doctrine, but because they lived their lives in a way that inspired others to find light in a world that often felt heavy. To many, they were sages who had unlocked the secret of life. Others believed they were fools, but no one could deny the impact they left behind. As the years passed, stories of the 3 Laughing Monks spread far and wide. Children grew up hearing about them. Elders retold their tales with reverence. They became a legend, walking the earth not with power or fame, but with simplicity and joy. Their message, though silent, was clear. Life was not to be taken too seriously. It was to be lived, embraced, and most importantly, laughed at. After many years of wandering and laughter, a curious event occurred in a village located in the far north. The monks had arrived as usual, and their laughter filled the air. But one morning, something was different. One of the monks had passed away, peacefully in his sleep. News of his death spread quickly. The villagers were stunned. How could someone so full of life, of joy, be gone? The entire community gathered. People came from nearby towns. Fields were left unattended. Shops were closed. Everyone wanted to witness what would happen. Surely the 2 remaining monks, having lost their dear friend and lifelong companion, would show some sorrow, some grief. People expected a moment of silence, of mourning, maybe even tears. But what they saw instead shook them. The 2 monks were not crying. They were not silent. They were not grieving. They were laughing, louder than before, with even more intensity and freedom. Their laughter filled the air so powerfully that some villagers thought they had gone mad. How could they laugh at a time like this? A few brave souls approached them, their faces etched with concern and confusion. One of them asked, "How can you laugh? Your companion has just died. Don't you feel any sadness?" For the first time in years, the monks spoke. They said, "Our friend has simply moved on, and he has done so in the most joyful way. You see, just yesterday on the road to your village, he made a bet with us. He said he would be the first to leave this world, and now he's won. The old rogue always had to win, didn't he?" Their eyes twinkled with mischief, and the villagers found themselves cracking hesitant smiles. The monks continued. "He even left a will behind in it. He requested that his body not be washed or dressed in ceremonial clothes. He wrote, 'I've never allowed the filth of this world to touch me. I've lived clean through my laughter. Let me go the same way I lived.'" The villagers, moved by his words and touched by the simplicity of the request, honored it. They placed his body on the funeral pyre just as he was, in the same garments he wore when he entered their village. But what happened next would forever be remembered in that village's history. As the fire was lit and the flames began to rise, a sudden burst of color shot into the sky. Fireworks exploded above the crowd, brilliant reds, greens, blues, and golds. The sky came alive with celebration. Gasps turned into laughter. Children clapped their hands in delight. The air was filled not with mourning, but with joy. It turned out that the monk had hidden fireworks within his robes before his passing. One final joke, one last gift. And just like that, the villagers understood. This man had planned even his death as a celebration. He did not see it as an end, but as another moment to bring joy. He left the world in the same spirit with which he had lived, laughing. The people around the pyre, who had gathered expecting tears, now joined the remaining monks in laughter. And for a few moments, all fear, all sadness, all attachment disappeared. That night, as stars blinked above and the smell of incense and fire lingered in the air, the villagers sat in silence, reflecting on what they had witnessed. They began to understand the deeper message the monks had carried all these years without ever speaking it aloud. Life is fleeting. Nothing lasts. But while we are here, we have the power to choose how we live. We can live in worry and fear, weighed down by burdens, or we can live in joy, with laughter as our companion. The remaining monks stayed for a short while, but as always, they eventually moved on. Their laughter echoed behind them, lingering in the village long after they were gone. The people who had once looked at life with solemn eyes now smiled more freely. Arguments seemed less important. Days seemed brighter. The spirit of the laughing monk who had passed lived on in their hearts. As time passed, the story of the three laughing monks, and especially of the one who left with fireworks in his robes, was told and retold. It became a tale of inspiration, of perspective, of joy. Parents told it to their children. Teachers shared it with students. Travelers carried it to new lands. And so, maybe the point of it all is simple. Maybe we are not here to conquer or to suffer, to collect riches or to prove ourselves. Maybe we are just here to laugh, to love, to find joy in the small moments, to not take everything so seriously. Maybe the cosmic joke is that we spend so much time chasing things when everything we need is already within us. A breath, a smile, a moment of shared laughter. Next time you find yourself stuck in a problem, overwhelmed by life's weight, try this. Go to the mirror, look yourself in the eyes, and just laugh. Even if it feels forced at first, let it grow, let it rise, let it take over. Laugh at the absurdity of it all. Laugh because you're still here, because you're alive, because laughter, no matter how fleeting, connects you to something bigger, something lighter. The world will not always be kind. Things will go wrong, people will come and go, dreams may rise and fall. But through it all, the one thing that can remain is your joy. Protect it, cherish it, share it. That joy is what makes you truly alive. It is what makes your spirit unshakable. And when you laugh, really laugh, you're not escaping the world, you're embracing it. So go ahead, laugh. Because in the end, maybe that's all life really is, a beautiful, mysterious, and wonderful opportunity to laugh.